Turns out bag checks in liberal cities, they're not making residents any safer. Panicked passengers fleeing for their lives on a packed New York City subway after a fight led to a man getting shot in the head with his own gun. Viewer warning, this is a tough one to watch. Yeah, you don't see the shots, but you hear them. Brand new surveillance video shows that man entering the subway without paying. He then boards a train where he started a fight with another man. They get in a boxing match, and a woman allegedly stabs him. It's at that point where he draws a gun, the passengers flee, but the other guy ends up disarming him in that fight, shooting him in the head with his own weapon. The perpetrator is now in critical condition. The DA says they're not filing charges against the other man who fired the gun on the subway, saying it was self-defense. It's pretty shocking this even happened. There's a lot of extra manpower in the subway these days. New York Governor Kathy Hochul flooding the zone with about 700 National Guard members, but she did strip them of their rifles. Hochul says she's very proud of her National Guard, despite some saying that move was not necessary.
How do you respond to some of your fellow Democrats calling the move theatrics that play into Republican narratives that blue cities are poorly run war zones?
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. My job is to keep people safe. I have to, any way I can, I'm going to keep New Yorkers safe. The subways have been safer, but we had a spike recently.
Yes.
A 45% increase in subway crimes. I needed to do something dramatic and quickly to send a message.
So, Judge, real quick. So Daniel Penny defended himself too, but they're coming after him. I mean, talk to me about this case.
You know, the parallels between this and the Penny case are very strong. This guy who takes a gun out of his backpack, apparently the checking bags, they didn't check his bag.
Yeah.
So he gets a gun on a moving, locked subway car where nobody can get out, and they're screaming, "Get me out, get me out." He takes a gun, and the person he's going after, he ends up getting the gun from him and shooting him in the head. So the person who shot him in the head, and he may die from this, is already not being arrested. He had the right to defend himself. But why didn't Daniel Penny have the right to defend himself when everybody on that moving, locked subway car underground felt that their lives were in danger? All right? I mean, this is just a different scenario. If this guy really had mental health issues, then he is very much like Jordan Neely in the Danny Penny case. But look, she can go out, Kathy Hochul and Mayor Adams and the whole lot of the Democrats, and go out and say, we're going to do what's right. We're not going to do anything in the Republicans' narrative. Here's the bottom line. You've got to start prosecuting crime. You've got to change the bail reform laws that didn't reform bail, that just allowed criminals to keep going. You've got to remove prosecutors who won't prosecute low-level crime, as evidenced by the fact that the guy who brought the gun, who ended up being shot with his own gun, he jumped the fare, all right? You know, it's called the broken windows theories. You start with the lower-level crimes and you move up. But this is going to continue to happen. They can put an army in the subway. A girl lost her legs when her boyfriend, convicted with prior assaults, puts her in front of a subway. You've got to change the law and stop talking the talk.
I mean, Greg, the guy was clearly, you watched the video, he's clearly mentally ill. He's got a gun. The checks didn't work. And Kathy Hochul would have condemned if the Trump administration had put National Guard.
This is where, if you were on any other network, pick any network, there will be an affluent white female liberal saying, but I take the subway every day, and this is just an aberration. It's an anomaly. I take the subway every day. It's never been safer. This is how it went. A yelled at B yells at A fights B, C stabs A pulls out a gun, B grabs the gun and shoots A. What happened to C? There's a woman there that stabbed the guy in the back. All of this it's a very complicated mathematical equation, but it only happens in places where it can happen. And this wasn't at midnight in the Lower East Side. You know, this was on a crowded subway in the afternoon. So it happens because it can. And why did it happen? What's missing? the police. Absence of law and order means there's no disincentive, right? Post George Floyd, the left-wing spasm against law and order has given us this. And New Yorkers, many of whom are on those subways, you voted for this. You got the 1970s with smartphones. A lot of these people were out there chanting defund the police, and now they're living their consequences. And as much as I love and respect the National Guard, they are not trained in this stuff. There is an opportunity cost for that political optic that Oakle decided to do. She chose a stunt over a real action that would reduce crime and make us safer. So what she did actually made us less safe, which comes to the question, when is enough enough? What does it take? We keep saying that. Do you think one-party rule is over in these cities? Is it time to try something new and let the adults back in the room? A good city is run by Democrats and Republicans, the mom and the dad. That's how things work. It's not Dems and crazier Dems. You can't split the power that way. Or now it's Dems, crazier Dems, and the craziest Dems. Maybe try Dems, crazy Dems, and some Republicans. Have a Republican mayor come back, and this would be over.
Harold, do you think that's in the cards? Because, you've got a governor now responding to it. We're seeing things like this on a regular basis.
So maybe so, and I don't have any problem with political diversity, and I'd love for Democrats to have a majority, but at the same time, I want answers, and I think Greg touches them. I'd say three quick things. With regard to this, I'm glad Bragg has decided not to file charges, and I think it will increase pressure around the Penny case. It's unclear to me. It's a Brooklyn day, not Daybreak. They decided not to do that in Brooklyn. Thank you for the correction. Two, in the Penny case, did the person on the subway, I can't remember, did he have a gun?
No.
Did not. So
No.
there was a gun in this one, which may be a difference, a different training factor. But still, Mr. Penny will have his time in court, and I've said on the show before, I think, based on what I see, I think the guy responded rightly. We need cops on the subways. And I'd be willing, as a taxpayer, probably earns a little more money than others in the city, to pay a little more to ensure that we had a force cops dedicated to subways all across the city. Because without the subway, the city doesn't work. If people can't get to work, can't get to school, can't pick their kids up, can't get to entertainment, can't get to the things across and around this great city we live in, it simply doesn't work. So this has to be the priority. And I believe it is a priority of Mayor Adams and the governor, but we need something different. And the last few days, the last year really says, but the last few days have really showed us how difficult and how unsafe it is for families and others going to school and going to work to take the subway.
And now with congestion pricing, more people are going to be taking the subway because they don't want to pay.
We got to take that issue up too, because that issue is bad.
Those are the economic consequences that I think about every day. I don't necessarily hear people say, oh, I take the subway every day, I keep going on it. What I hear is the young professional paying $2,000 a month for rent on the Upper East Side to live in 200 square feet, who now has to pay $60 to get to their job in Lower Manhattan because they fear getting on the subway. Or moms trying to get their kids to school and they avoid the subway. That's more cash out of their pocket, whether they voted for the policies or not. These are huge economic consequences for the city. It makes it more and more unlivable.
I wonder if when people watch The Five who don't live in cities love these segments because it's like city porn. It's like they could sit there, you're sitting at home and you're going like, those idiots, get out of there. Get out. We want to go, but we can't because we work here. Right to our bosses.
In defense of New York, this is the greatest city in the world, and I love it. And we got to figure out how we make it safer and how we make the subways work better.
We're working on getting rid of that title.
You know what a better city is? Milpitas, California.
Is that where you and Tom Brady are from?
No, San Mateo. Nice try, though.
There we go.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.